Hello everyone and welcome. This is Turntable here coming to you today with a primer on Bibbity, Bobbity, Burn. This deck is the deck you've seen me playing over the last few weeks. It's a really cool deck. It's a spin on traditional Burn that runs Dark Confidant as a means to refill our hand late game. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run you through all the cards in the deck, why I have them in the deck, and why I've chosen them to be in the specific spot they're in. So without any further ongoings, I won't say ado because that's an annoying word. We'll go ahead and get started. We'll start today with the 1-drops. So we're going to start with the 1-drop spells, and by spells I meant to say sorceries and instants. So first on our list here is Bump in the Night. Great little spell. It's one of the main reasons we're running Mardu Burn. Bump in the Night's going to give us an extra card that says your target opponent loses 3 life. It's really nice because it's not actually damage. It does say loses 3 life. So if there's anything, for instance, what's the new card? The card that if you have a creature you can't lose life. Triflic, help me out. What's it called?
Huh?
Card that says you can't lose life if you have one or more creatures.
Worship.
Worship, that one. Bump in the Night gets around Worship. So if they have a Worship out, you go, LOL, cool, you can lose life. Doesn't deal them damage, so they just lose the game, and you win. It's a pretty nice way to feel. Next on our list, we have the ever-important Rift Bolt. If you're running Burn, you're running Rift Bolt. That's how it goes. I run it as a playset. You should too. That's a no-brainer. Next card we have is, sure you all are ready. Get ready for the shock factor. Are you ready yet? Are you ready? Lightning Bolt. Yeah. Shocked, aren't you? I like the white borders. I'm sorry to everybody who doesn't. They're beautiful. Anyway, Lightning Bolt is a staple of Burn. It's the only reason this deck exists and can continue to exist. And apparently Wizards thinks it's broken, so there's that. Onward and forward, we have a playset of Lava Spike. That's another set of our deal 3 damage for 1s. So in this deck, you'll see we have 12 spells that deal 3 damage for effectively, and with Rift Bolt being the minor exception, deal 3 damage for 1 mana. That is the heart and soul of this deck, is getting that damage in as quickly as possible and as efficiently as possible. So there's our 1-drop spells, instants and sorceries. Let's go ahead and stack those up and get them out of the way. Move them right over here. Cool. Now let's take a look real quick at the 1-drop creatures. We'll start with a pair of Grim Lavamancers. Grim Lavamancer is a fantastic utility card. It really gives us a lot of leverage in creature-based matchups. So, fish, allies, decks like that. Infect is another one where it really forces them to stay on their toes, and it can really pose a major problem if they don't have an answer to it. Moving on, we're going to have an old staple, one you probably are going to be unhappy to see because of the new price, but a staple nonetheless. We're going to have a playset of Goblin Guide. Now, in recent months, this price has risen to somewhere around $40, which is quite honestly depressing. I originally picked mine up for about $25 a piece. Pro tip, if you can find the old Mirrodin Besiege, it's Into the Breach event deck. It's a great deck to pick up because it has 2 of these lovelies along with a playset of Mimnites, a playset of Bolts, and a playset of Searing Blaze, which you're about to see is going to be a big part of this deck. The Mimnites and the other artifact things are just nice little bonuses that you can sell off to make some of that money back. I have seen they've spiked in price recently, but they were at some point around $50. Moving on, we have one of the greatest new additions to this deck, Monastery Swiftspear. Swiftspear has really pushed Burn into a new caliber, really. Before Burn was just a budget modern deck that was good enough, but it wasn't great. But with Monastery Swiftspear, we've really seen suddenly Burn is a force to be reckoned with. We have to be able to deal with this deck. And Monastery Swiftspear has really been a big part of propelling us into that position. So that'll conclude all of our 1-drops. Let's move forward into our 2-drop instants and sorceries. So to start things out, we're going to be running 3 Searing Blaze. Searing Blaze is a great card because it's the definition of a 2-for-1. Searing Blaze allows us to destroy a creature and deal them 3 damage. It's like having 2 bolts stuck together, and that's just downright sexy. I don't want to run 4, however, because if we ever come up against non-creature based matchups, say some sort of control deck, or combo, or something to that effect that doesn't have creatures or has lots of protection for their creatures, Searing Blaze can be a dead card. So we want to make sure we don't run too many of them. Then we're going to have 2 Lightning Helix. Just 2. It kind of fills in space. Lightning Helix is a great card, especially against the mirror, where Lightning Helix will allow us to gain back 3 life, so it kind of puts our opponent at a major disadvantage. Not only have we hit them for 3, we ourselves have managed to gain 3 life, which offsets at least 1 bolt from them. Moving on, we finally have a 4 of Boros Charm. Boros Charm is another phenomenal card that really allows this deck to pack a punch. Boros Charm's ability to deal 4 damage for 2 mana is insane, and really hard to find in any other cards in Modern. In fact, I don't think there is another card in Modern that can deal 4 damage for 2 mana. So, Boros Charm is really very powerful. That said, I'm going to move the Russian one to the back so you can actually read it, unless you read Russian, which, good for you. Is really powerful because it doesn't just give us the ability to deal 4 damage, it can also give permanent double strike, or make all of our permanents indestructible, which is bonkers! You have a nice board full of Monastery Swiftspears and Goblin guides, and they go, insert board wipe here, you can go, okay, cool, Boros Charm. It's beautiful. It offers us a lot of flexibility in our play. So that'll round out our 2-drop instants and sorceries. So now we need to move on, finally, to our creature base. Well, this is Bibbity Bobbity Burn, so we have to have our Dark Confidants. That's a 3 of in this deck. At one point, I was running it as a 4 of. I found that 4 is just a little excessive. You know, it is true that late game you don't always just want to top deck with Bob. Most of the time you do, occasionally you don't, but you definitely don't want 2 in hand. So we dropped it down to 3 just because we don't want to have 2 or even 3 Bobs in hand. It's just a nightmare. 1 Bob is really all you need towards the end of a game to draw those last 2 or 3 cards to seal the deal. Along with Bob, the only other creature we're going to have taking up in our 2-drop spot is Eidolon of the Great Revel, yet another very recent card that has helped propel Burn into a new category. Eidolon is great against all these low drop decks, Infect, Fish, all these things, except not Fish. I lied, because Fish has Aether Vial. So any of these other decks other than Fish that have low drop creatures, it's a really powerful card. And yes, these cards are both going to be dealing a lot of damage to you, and people, when they see this deck, they say, Turntable, why do you have so many cards that are dealing you so much damage in this deck? And I say the answer is this. What I'm trying to do is I am trying to deal my opponent as much damage as possible, even at the cost of my own life. You have to remember, in Modern, and really any other format of Magic, life is a resource. This deck aims to take full advantage of that resource. By using life efficiently, we can draw more damage to them and play those cards more efficiently. So for instance, Eidolon might deal me 2 damage when I bolt him to the face, I took 2, he took 3, and next turn if he plays say 2 spells less than 3 mana cost, he's going to be dealing himself 4 damage. I have more than gotten my value out of my Eidolon. Bob has a very similar reasoning. After I land a Bob late game, it allows me to draw 2 cards per turn. Statistically in this deck, it will likely be 2 cards that can deal 6 damage combined, which means, more or less, it should allow me to close games more efficiently and go toe-to-toe with decks that last longer, Abzan Company, for example. So with that, we've kind of seen the overview of the deck, minus the mana base. So let's take a look now and look at what our mana base looks like. Why have we gone with the Mardu 3-color mana base? Well, it starts out, very simply, with just 2 mountains. We only run 2 in this deck because we really don't need any more than this. With 3 colors, there's no reason to be running a ton of basic mountains. Beyond that, we're going to be running 2 Sacred Foundries and 2 Blood Crypts. Now, this is the only tappable land in the deck. This is the only land that will produce any mana wars. 6 cards. Exactly 6, because if you'll remember, if we bring back our Bump in the Nights, which I've conveniently hidden on the other side of the camera, the flashback cost is exactly 6. So we want to make sure that in worst case scenario, we have balls to the wall, it's been a terrible matchup, we can still flashback our Bump in the Night. Is it going to be pertinent? Probably not, but it can be, and has been. So we want to make sure we have at least 6 mana, so in the worst case scenario we can flashback that Bump in the Night. Now, 6 mana is not a lot, so we need to be able to search out these cards. Well, that's where our 12 fetches come in. That's going to come from a playset of Arid Mesas, a playset of Wooded Foothills, and a playset of Bloodstained Mires. You'll notice the only commonality between all of these is the ability to fetch red. That's really all we need in this deck. Every land that's tappable for mana in this deck is a mountain of some sort and or type. You could really substitute any one of these for Tarns if you so wanted. If you decided you really didn't care about the flashback and the Bump of the Night, you could just drop a couple of these normal tappable lands and put in more fetches. I don't know that I would advise it, but you could do it if you had Tarns and suddenly had lots of money you wanted to spend on it. Good for you. So now you've seen the deck. You've seen that we are really a value-based deck that looks at using our life total to our advantage to outrace our opponent. So now that we've looked at that, what happens when we have a bad matchup? Because Burn has plenty of them. There's lots of Burn hate out there, and we have to be able to answer that Burn hate with insert whatever deck it is here, hate. So that's when we go to our handy-dandy sideboard. So this sideboard has been in a constant state of flux for the last few weeks, but right now we've settled on a pair of Deflecting Palms, 3 Kor Firewalkers, 2 Path to Exiles, a Smash. We've got 2 Glare of Heresy for some spicy tech, 1 Rain of Gore for some extra spicy tech, 2 Reality Hemorrhage, and 2 Rakdos Charm. So the whole idea here is we have multiple decks we need to answer, and we have multiple answers to those decks. So we'll start here with the Deflecting Palm. Deflecting Palm is great with a lot of these Eldrazi decks, where they're going to be landing big creatures that we are afraid of. We want to be able to deal with those creatures in some way, and burn spells aren't going to get that done. Deflecting Palm offers a great incentive not to get attacked, and it also allows us to deal them, I don't know, 5-10 damage in a turn. Did that last night, 7 damage to a guy, won the match because of it. So Deflecting Palm is a really powerful card for us. Kor Firewalker is obviously the choice for the mirror. We're only running 3, we don't want 4 because we actually have a lot of hate for other Kor Firewalkers, so having 3 is plenty enough for us to land one and not have to compete with theirs. So 3 Kor Firewalker will allow us to compete in the mirror even better. Path to Exile is Path to Exile. It's a 1-drop exile target creature. That's about as good as you're going to get in Modern. So we're running 2 of those, primarily to deal with any decks with big creatures that can't be handled by burn spells, and it also helps us to deal with other Kor Firewalkers should we see them in the mirror. Finally, we have a Smash. Smash to Smithereens is really a recent addition. It's come as response to all of the Affinity. Currently, Affinity is the second most played deck in the Modern meta, right after Eldrazi. So we definitely need to have an answer to it, and Smash is one of the best answers to Affinity. Moving on, we have 2 Glare of Heresy. Glare of Heresy is really the spicy tech of this deck. Glare of Heresy is a 2-drop white and 1 sorcery from Theros that says exile target white permanent. Now you're thinking, oh, sorcery speed and exiling and 2-drop, and that doesn't sound great, Turntable. I'm here to tell you you're wrong. The beauty of Glare of Heresy is that it's exile and gives them no benefit. They have a Kor Firewalker, they don't have a Kor Firewalker, and they get no benefit from it. The other nice part is this takes care of a lot of the enchantments that we are most worried about. Right now, the enchantments that we're really most worried about is Leylines, and all of the life gain enchantments that we're going to see in Boggles. Well, Glare of Heresy deals with both of them, and that allows us a lot of flexibility. Even though it's only white permanent, it does allow us the ability to get rid of these cards effectively and efficiently without giving our opponent some sort of benefit, as we do see with Path. Now, the next card we have is a recent addition, and I really haven't tested it out that much, but it seems really fun, so I was like, yeah, we're going to do that. Rain of Gore is a Rakdos colored enchantment. It says if a spell or ability would cause its controller to gain life, that player loses that much life instead. Now you're thinking offhand, oh man, that's bonkers good. Okay, it's not bonkers good. It's good, but the problem with this is lifelink does not use the stack. It is not technically a triggered ability. Therefore, Rain of Gore doesn't cause anything with lifelink to cause its controller to lose obscene amounts of life, unfortunately. However, it does shut down a lot of things. So if somebody, for instance, has another Kor Firewalker, maybe they could gain life, and Kor Firewalker does say may on it, so they don't have to, but it will prevent them from gaining that life, because they're certainly not going to gain it and take one. I mean, I guess they could, but it would be a very poor decision. And it also shuts down Kitchen Finks. In fact, it makes Kitchen Finks actively hurt them instead of help them. So there are a lot of cards like this that we see where they're going to be gaining lots of life, and we want to be able to either slow that down or stop it. Now, looking at Skullcrack, Skullcrack is going to deal them 3 damage and prevent life gain that turn. Okay. That's good, and it is an instant, I'll give it that. But here's the thing. If you're in an Abzan combo matchup, and they have the combo assembled, using your Skullcrack is not going to do you anything. It might save you a turn, but not even. At the beginning of your next upkeep, they're just going to combo off and win. Sucks to suck. Rain of Gore, on the other hand, once it's landed, unless they have an answer, which they're really not, in most cases, no deck is going to side an enchantment hate against burn. Nobody does that. You're going to have an enchantment that's going to stick onto the battlefield, that's going to force them to have an answer that they're not going to have, and when they go to combo off, they go, oh, wait a second, I would die. Their combo doesn't work, which gives us the time that we need to finish them off. So Rain of Gore is really a very interesting ad. I'd love to hear what you guys think of it. So far, it's totally untested, but it seems fun, so we'll go with it. Next, we have a pair of Reality Hemorrhage. Reality Hemorrhage is a really interesting card. It comes to us from the new sets, and it's a 2-drop Devoid, deal 2 damage to target creature or player. Now, there's been a lot of debate in the community as to whether to use this card, Reality Hemorrhage, or Pyrite's Spellbomb. Now, I'm going to make the argument here for Reality Hemorrhage. Now, Pyrite Spellbomb, if you don't remember, is a 1-drop artifact that says tap 1, I don't remember if you have to sacrifice it or not, that's not particularly pertinent, tap 1, sack it, it goes away, and then it deals 2 damage to target creature or player. Almost the same thing, also colorless, but it's an artifact. So my argument for Reality Hemorrhage is that it's an instant. It allows me to play this at any point in time. It doesn't give my opponent the ability to sit and wait and think about it and find an answer to it. So for instance, last night I was in a matchup against another burn deck. He happened to be running Pyrite Spellbomb. He drops at turn 1 and I looked at it and go, well, I have a Kor Firewalker in my hand, but I can hold it until I can find an answer. As I look through my deck, I will eventually find an answer, or he'll be forced to use it on some other creature, at which point I can drop my Kor Firewalker. However, with Reality Hemorrhage, your opponent has no time to make that answer. They have no time to think about it. They can't just sit and go, oh, well, I'll play around it. No, there's no option to. They are forced to deal with the ramifications of it being played. There's no playing around it. So I really think Reality Hemorrhage is going to be better than Pyrite Spellbomb in the long run. Moreover, we finally have a Rakdos Charm. Actually, 2 of them. Rakdos Charm is one of my favorite cards in this deck and is one of the best reasons to run black. Rakdos Charm is obscenely powerful in Modern. It allows us to either exile all the cards in target player's graveyard, or destroy target artifact, or each creature deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. Now, originally this was put in when Twin was still in Modern, and that was insane. We could shut down a Twin, he'd go, I combo off, and you could go, ah, but you died. And it was a beautiful, wonderful feeling. So Rakdos Charm was really good then, it's still really good now. The ability to exile a graveyard is very powerful. Any deck with graveyard interactions gets immediately shut down. It can shrink Goyfs very quickly and very easily, which is a really powerful thing to do. Destroying a target artifact is also very powerful with Affinity continuing to grow in the meta, i.e. that's why we have Smash. So that gives us 2 different ways to work with it, and finally the ability for each creature to deal 1 damage to its controller is really, really good. We overlook this a lot, but if we look at a lot of these decks that lay out creatures on the battlefield, if we think about Zoo, if we think about any kind of combo-y deck that might play a bunch of creatures, lots of mana dorks, or if we even think about decks like Fish or Allies that lay all these creatures on the table, this can be another Boros Charm, or better. I've dropped a Rakdos Charm when somebody has, actually it's Triflic. Triflic drops a Master of Waves, puts 8 little tokens on the battlefield and go, well, I'm dead. Top tick a Rakdos Charm next turn, deal him obscene amounts of damage, he dies. It's really powerful, really versatile, and allows us to do lots of things. So now you've seen exactly how the deck works, we've seen all of the deck, and we've seen it played. So I would love your comments on this. I'd love to know what you all think about Bibbity Bobbity Burn. It really is a new take on an old deck. We get some interesting cards like Rain of Gore, Rakdos Charm, and Bump in the Night, as well as Bob to refill our hand late game. So we can really see that this deck has a lot more versatility than a standard burn deck. That's the main reason I'm running it. I see Bibbity Bobbity Burn as the ability to play the long game, where the normal burn deck is limited entirely to the short game. Win by turn 5 or lose overall. However, Bibbity Bobbity Burn can go turn for turn with Abzan Company, simply because Bob can draw you cards for the rest of the game. Alright, well, that's an overview of the deck and the sideboard. We'll have that entire deck list posted in the description for you, so you can make sure to check that out, take a look at it, decide what you like, don't like, and please, leave me comments, tell me what you think about it, how you think I could make it better, how you think it's already perfect, because it is. No, it's not. Every deck is never perfect. We're always improving. That's why we play Magic. So, thanks again for watching. This has been another Scapeshifters video, this time with primers. We'll be coming to you soon with another primer on Allies, and hopefully Fish right after that. And we'll see another primer on this deck without the Bobs and see how black can help us in other ways. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.